We could go on and on with issue after issue. We're not going to get all of them, but the next one is net neutrality, and Hannah Miller, who's the National Field Director of the Media and Democracy Coalition, and the Philadelphian is here to talk about that.
My name is Hannah Miller. I work for an organization called the Media and Democracy Coalition, and I want to see a show of hands of who here has been working on organizing on healthcare reform. Raise your hand. Okay, who here has been organizing on climate change? Raise your hand. Who here has been organizing workers to form a union? Raise your hand. And how many of you have used the internet to help you do that? Raise your hand. Well, I have some very, very bad news. The guys in this building and the giant corporations that run the internet are starting to repress political speech, and it is our political speech they are starting to repress. Now, let me give you a couple of examples. Just last month, AT&T blocked healthcare reform messages on 10 million of their iPhones because it was too political. In 2007, who's here a Verizon customer? Anybody a Verizon customer? Yeah. 2007, Verizon blocked NARAL messages, text messages, because they were too political. And worst of all, the Comcast Corporation has told President Obama and the Federal Communications Commission that it has the right to monitor and block what all of us do online on its network. Wow. Yeah, this is a really, really big problem for all of us because information is power. What the internet represents is the radical democratization of power, and that is exactly what these people do not want. It scares the bejesus out of them. There's currently right now going on in Congress and at the FCC a fight over whether the FCC can institute something called net neutrality. This is a policy that prevents carriers, corporate internet carriers, from blocking or discriminating against any policy, any content on the internet. The fact that the FCC wants to do this has been met with a huge barrage of lobbying by AT&T, Comcast, and Verizon, who have spent more than $69,000 a day lobbying on this year alone. This is not a fight we can afford to lose. This is the 21st century now. Our lives, our economic, political, and social lives are becoming even more importantly online. We cannot have something as important as the internet in the hands of giant corporations. Yeah. And in the end, if you don't actually if this doesn't bother you, if you're not worried about giant corporations controlling the internet, I have to ask you, who here is a Comcast customer? Anybody here Comcast? How do you feel about Comcast customer service? How do you feel about Comcast raising their rates every year? How do you feel about Comcast getting a $10 million tax break to build that building over there in the state of Pennsylvania? How do you feel about Brian Roberts and paying himself $14 million a year while union busting? And most of all, how do you feel about the headquarters of the largest residential internet service provider being in a city that has one of the largest urban digital divides in the country? How do you feel about that? All right. Well, I don't think these corporations have proved themselves to be trustworthy at all, and I hope you can join our campaign. It's at www.savetheinternet.com. I encourage you to speak to that woman over there, Gwen Schaefer. Gwen, raise your hand. She will help you out with this campaign, and I thank you for your support.